Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for the. This is the Canada Day broadcast, and yeah, we're going to have a special guest on. Just waiting for him to come into the green room. Yeah, so doing really good. It's a nice sunny day out today. Can't tell I'm in the basement. I've got a small studio downstairs. So yeah, we're waiting for Ron Asher to come in, and we can get the show going here. Oh, I think we have him here. I'm going to add him into the stream. Hey, Ron, welcome.
You got me?
I got you. I got you there.
Okay.
I don't know if we
Sorry,
can.
I haven't done this before. So, with the online talking and stuff, like I said, I usually type stuff in. So, my wife here, there we go.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, my wife here, she's helping me. So, if she has to do anything, just let me know, right?
right. So she's guiding you through it. How to get
She's
online.
me through it. I'm basically, your internet idiot.
You're doing pretty good. So
Okay, so
yeah,
how you want to start this?
yeah. Well, we can start it. Just tell me how you what got into what made you get into comic books.
Oh, okay, sure. Like, are you talking about what comics influenced me, or you
Yeah.
want to talk about? Oh, okay. Well, the Captain America. I got all the early Captain Americans. Uh, got all the Captain Americas was Tales of Suspense and all that stuff, and Nova from the first series, and then I just recently, within the last couple of years, didn't know anything about what happened to him after basically the 80s, right when they killed the character or put him on hold, and then they brought him back in the 90s with the new warriors and all that stuff. So and I'm into a lot of comics: Conan, Salvatore de Conan, Conan. I got the first Black Panthers from the Jack Kirby area of the late 70s. Got all those. Mind you, I bought all these comics uh, 20 years ago when they were all cheap. Now everything from the Bronze Age. And, I'll just put these on so I can see it better.
Yeah, that
From
did that. Yeah.
yeah,
That'll
yeah.
help, right?
So from the Bronze Age, right till now,
Hmm.
uh, been collecting comics, and but like I said, now comic books are so expensive to get, all the old ones and stuff like that. Unless you bought them, years and years ago, you gotta, basically sell your house and pull out a second mortgage to get some issues that you.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no.
I've actually heard some people doing that. I go, okay, well, I like comics, but it's going a little bit too far.
Well, you heard the saying is, if you want your kids to stay out of drugs, you get them into comic books
Yeah, I
or,
know.
or art. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I started drawing when I was a kid, so watching the Shazam ISIS Hour and Wonder Woman TV series, the Spider-Man live TV series, and all the stuff from that era where you used to get up at 6 a.m. and then you went right till about noon time, and then your mom kicked you out of the house basically, and said, "Okay, go outside." That's it for you today.
Ron, do you want to tell a little bit about your character? I should have asked you that when we first started off, but
Oh, okay, sure. I created the character in 2013, beginning of 2014. I was on the TTC on the bus one day, and I was on my way to work, and I just came up with I used to bring this little sketch pad with me, little tiny, maybe I don't know, 5x7 little pad for notes and stuff. You forget things, and so I
Mhm.
started sketching out the character, and I said, one day I'll be a somebody, and and draw this character. I noticed that Canada has no mainstream, with the exception of Captain Canuck, right? Nobody has, and a lot of people don't know about him, unfortunately, in the U.S. But he's the only really big character. Everybody else is, pretty well independent, right? So, I said, well, I've always been a big fan of Captain Canuck. I collected that comic when it came out, and then I think I wore it out at one time. It had no cover, so just recently I bought a new one. But I went for a solid, since when Captain Connect came. Well, actually, I bought mine a couple years after, but when he came out, basically that comic was worn down, had no cover. I still got that copy, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
But like you said, recently I bought a high quality issue, right? And I kind of been following them ever since, off and on. I like all the new artists who are doing them, and stuff like this. So basically, I said Canada needs more mainstream characters, but it's pretty hard to get in the U.S. with anything on a Maple Leaf, right? I've
Mhm.
heard a lot of comments like, does he come with maple syrup in his belt, stuff like this, because of the maple leaf on his chest, but like I said, I sketched it on the TPC, and then one day I said, I went down to the local dollar store, and I bought one of those big 11 by 14 pads, and started making the first comic. And that was actually made on really cheap dollar store paper, right? But I mean, I didn't really know how to do anything back then. Just draw cartoon style a Saturday morning comic, and so I drew that whole thing, and then I had a buddy who's one of those guys that can he does everything on the computer. Like he can bring it to Photoshop, stick it here, stick it there, build his own website. And I said, well, this guy's the guy to know, right? So he kind of color matched everything for me. And once that was all done and put on one of those USB sticks, I went down to the local printers and got, a few hundred printed up. And then from there on in, I was hooked on Leaf Patroller, and I said, "Well, you know what? Now I'm going to start the second issue." And I went to different comic stores in Toronto, Silver Snail, and then went up to Kitchener to Studio Comics, and and got that one on a sale there. And but it's hard though. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that just no, 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 it's not Marvel or DC. You don't want that stuff, and they're not really willing to give the independent Canadian artist or writer or whatever, a chance, right? So you almost got to build a name yourself and then kind of show them that you can sell a few hundred issues, and then they'll say, "Okay, you're an okay guy. We like you now. You sold a few hundred issues. We'll allow you to put your Leaf Patrol comics in our store," which is a gigantic undertaking because what do you got? You got the internet, right? And and basically, unless you want to, I actually went out one day on Yonge Street in Toronto and got the plaster out and the Leaf Patroller picture, and I plastered it all the way from, I think, Dundas, where the Eaton Center is, all the way up to Young and Blue, or little pictures of Leaf Patrollers now on sale at this comic store, and just to get the word out there. And I think within a couple months, I sold 7 or 8 of them, which I was like, "Oh wow, I sold 7 or 8 of them! I can't believe it, man! All right, I'm on the way to super success." But it's a long journey. I was just talking to my dad, and he said, "Oh, it's going to take you about 5 or 6 years before anything happens." But I'm 3 years into it right now, so we'll see, right?
Yeah.
Hope I'm not talking your face off here.
That's okay. It's okay.
I'm machine gunning you right down.
Hey, Ron,
Okay.
you might want to turn down your volume on your speakers. I'm getting a bit of feedback.
Okay, maybe what I'll do is
Or put headphones on.
Headphones. Okay, I don't got them right now.
Okay.
You want me to get them? I'll be like 30 seconds.
Sure, yeah. I can. Great.
All right. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't know this was requiring all this techno gizmos.
Yeah. It just seems like when I'm talking, I hear an echo.
Okay, all right.
Actually, it doesn't sound too bad right now.
Okay, maybe I'll hold on a second.
Yeah, hang on to them in case it gets bad again.
How's that?
Yeah, it's good. No, I think it's just me. When it comes in through yours and it bounces back.
Just you, okay. Is that good right there? Okay.
Yeah.
I just a little bit too close up to you.
No, it's not you. It's just me. It's me coming into your speakers, and then it's coming back into the microphone, my voice. So it's looping around. So you can come in closer if you want. It's not you that's doing it.
You did the adjustments then. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I have the speakers already.
Yeah, you gotta. If you need them, then we'll just plug in. I got headphones too.
You got that one too.
Yeah, so if I have that problem, usually StreamYard is pretty good for taking that out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you want me to take that out while we're talking?
No, it'll be fine. I think it sounds okay now.
Okay, no problem. All right.
Yeah.
So like I was saying, I'm 3 years into it, and I'm just still working on the third. That's what I should have done. I should have made coffee before this. You were smart. Okay. Anyways, I'm 3 years into it, and I'm just been working on the third issue. But I'm gonna make the third issue like a golden age comic, whereas you have the the main character. It's say 7, maybe 10, 13 pages, who knows? And then you got, the muscle masterpiece bunnies, and then maybe a little one-page kind of detective story with a lead controller where there isn't any pictures. It's just kind of one of the things you send off to Reader's Digest, a 2 or 3 page story type of deal, and and maybe another character at the end of the book. I don't know yet. I've got the lead controller part pretty well almost done, and I have these other characters that I invented, and the bunnies, and like I said, I'm gonna put those, and then instead of putting 12 cents, I put 10 cents, right? Like the golden age on the cover, and see how that goes. Basically, you never know, right?
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna be doing? Sending the Leaf Patroller back into the 40s?
No, but he could. You never know. Maybe not this year, but that would be maybe send him to World War II or something. You never know, right? But I read a lot of the old the USA comics, in reprint, and the All Winners and stuff like that in reprint. Uh, and I used to collect years ago, and it was the only way, when back in the early '90s was, the fantasy masterpieces, and that was just a bunch of golden age comics, and I basically was getting for the Captain America, but they had, your USA comics, and your All Winners, and all different types of characters. And then it changed over after issue 10, but I got the first 10 anyways.
So what's your process of creating when you said you worked on the sketchbook with the character? Do you do any scripts or anything before you do any stories, or?
Yeah, I do. What I do is I get a basic, I'm thinking to myself, I get a basic concept, and then what I do is I just write it out in long form, and I take the concept, and then I go page. Okay, what page is this going to be on? What page is that going to be on? And then I kind of envision, say, maybe 7 or 8 panels, and then I take a look at the story and say, okay, because you need the talk bubbles there too, right? So then I say, okay, well, I got this part of the story, but what's he going to say here? What's he going to say there? So I don't have like like I know some of the bigger comics, they have everything, the talk bubbles and everything, all written out for the artists, right? But I don't quite do that. Because when you're working alone, you have the option of doing it any way you want to do it, right? When you're working for a big, corporate company like Marvel or DC, one of these big guys, they want everything, down pat before, you take 2 steps forward, right? So that's the way I work. Sometimes everything, I only, like with the first issue, I was writing basically off the fly. Hey, I was writing 3 pages and say, okay, well, what am I going to do from here? Which is I think, pretty creative way of working, because you don't know, right? And you already got the pictures done, they're like down pat, colored in and everything, and then instead of penciling, so I would draw the picture, ink it in, color it, do some 3 or 4 pages, and then say, okay, then take a look at the script and say, okay, and then try it mentally in your head to see where it takes you, right? So I was working that way on the first piece. On the second issue, I would do like 7 or 8 pages, and then so my artwork and all the rest of the coloring and everything was always a few pages ahead of the script, right? So I knew where I was going, but not exactly with the artwork and all the other stuff, right? So, and then every once in a while I change it up. I would get to a certain part of the script and say, no, no, that's no good, man. I'm not doing that. That's crap. And then do something else, right? Completely different. Skip 3 or 4 paragraphs and say, no, that's not going to work. So like I said, it's a little bit different when you're independent and you work by yourself as opposed to working for the big guys where they tell you exactly you got to walk this way, you got to walk that way, and, pretty well.
Well, nice. So you say you do your own letters, or do you give it to somebody? Did you say?
No, I do all the lettering and stuff, but I almost have to do it to be artistic wise. You almost have to do like what I will do the picture in pencil, right? And then what I'll do is once I finish the picture, I'll do the lettering at the top, stencil it out, make it, all the measurements and everything. With I use like where you're measuring each letter, and then you get your circumferences and all your different measurements, the rulers, whatever. And then kind of after you're finished the lettering, kind of make the bubble around it. And then it's just a matter of erasing all the, all the little small stuff. And then you got to first I ink in the lettering, and then, I ink in the bubble, and then you erase all your pencil and everything around it. And just go by that way of doing it. I know that different companies, what they do is they hand it to the letterer, and then they have a process of wiping down and everything. But that's a completely different way of doing it. I'm kind of like doing it a little bit different, right? Where, like I said, when you're working with yourself or just by yourself, you can do anything basically. You can letter and ink and color, and I like I said, I think I told you once before. I use the Sharpies and pencil crayons, and then the Bics, and mind you, those I'll tell you, you go through a lot of Sharpies. That's expensive. They don't last too long if you're an artist. It's I buy a giant pack with 24 in it, and within oh maximum 4 or 5 pages, you need all new sharpies. They're just that's it, and you're sitting there sharps. The same thing with the pencil crayons, because for some reason you can't get markers in that faded type of thing. You can get like a little bit faded, but if you want that real kind of comic book fade and all these different great shades, you almost have to turn to pencil crayons and stuff like that. Unless you're one of these people who do everything by computer. But I'm one. I'm old fashioned. I like doing everything the old way. Where you can take a look at it and say, oh, it takes a bit longer, but once you sweated it out and did everything by yourself, I find there's more of a sense of accomplishment. Mind you, there'll probably be a lot of people out there saying, "Oh no, no, you can do that's way faster way of doing it." I'll agree there, but I'm not working for any big company, so you know I don't really have to worry about that type of stuff. making a deadline or something like that. But I could see the point. If you got deadlines and stuff like that, and you gotta have, your comic or magazine out by a certain, deadline, then yeah, you gotta almost these days work with computers and stuff. But I'm independent, so I don't worry about that stuff.
Well, I went switched over to computers to letter my book. I just find it easier, and you can spell check more easier by just
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
you know
yeah.
just, you got to get the Ames guide out, and you got the little round plastic thing, and you put the pencil in the hole, and then you draw the lines
Oh,
across the lettering.
I've done some computer stuff before,
Yeah,
and the only thing I couldn't get used to, I've done some artwork and stuff on computer. I got a little cheap version that I plug into this laptop here. Is there's like a 2 second delay, and I'm drawing and I'm drawing, and I'm like, oh wait, hold on a second here. You know what I mean? Because of that delay kind of screws me up.
uh,
But I know what you mean. Like if I was a writer and stuff like that, and I just wanted to do the talk bubbles, or I know you do a lot of artwork, do some good stuff I've seen. Um, yeah, yeah, you're almost better to for the process. I know you got the spell check and stuff like that, which helps you out too. What I was doing recently was I was keeping like your Webster's dictionary right beside you. So I have any questions. I got a couple spelling mistakes, and the editor never picked up on it. Hey, and they printed
right.
up like 200 issues, and I was going, oh, they're already printed now, so what am I going to do? And I said, okay, well, when I finish selling those ones, I'll just, you know, I'll redo. You can go to Photoshop, pick stuff up, and so that makes it a kind of collector's issue, right? But there's a couple spelling mistakes, but there's a bit of comedy involved too. I don't always fall here, but
Yeah,
who cares? Everyone makes mistakes when they're first starting getting
yeah,
into comics, right? So practice makes you perfect. And, people's suggestions help me out too. There was one guy who was saying, "Oh, your bubble should be over there. Your talk bubble should be over there, and if you lowered it a little bit, then it would be pretty good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're actually right." So I take their suggestions, and I use them as what do you call it? Constructive criticism, right? I say, okay, next issue, I'll take that into consideration, right?
right.
So,
Oh, good. Well, like I know when I did the first Max Burger, um, I made a lot of mistakes in spelling and stuff, and I kind of wished that Google was out because all I had to do is like I used to look at the dictionaries and stuff, but I still made mistakes when you wrote down the lettering. But Google has been so beautiful for finding words, and spelling them correctly, and
oh,
then now you don't, and then you
sometimes
don't.
they're wrong though. If you've noticed, they sometimes like some of the old Bronze Age Marvel slangs, and stuff
Yep.
like if you write Tryin like Tryin, and then you could give it a little apostrophe beside like Marvel used to do stuff like that, which doesn't have G's and stuff.
Mhm.
They write a little red underline. Okay, you're wrong. I said no, 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 man. But the comics have been doing that since the golden age, right? Using
Yep.
those slang. So as long as you're aware of that, yeah, I'll agree with you there. Google's is pretty good, right? At least they make you aware of it, right? Just
Yeah.
in case your I before E, except after C, and stuff like this, right? Your old teacher used to always say and stuff like that. But I know what you're saying. It speeds up the whole process, right? Using Google, right, as
Yeah.
opposed to having a dictionary beside you. I'll agree with you there. Totally.
Yeah, and what was it? Like you're talking about slang. You were talking about slang. I'm working on a book called The North Shield, and he speaks in a lot of Newfoundland slang, which is
Oh,
people. A lot of people don't use it anymore. I have a book that gives me all those slangs and stuff like that, so I use that in it. But when I do a spell check on Word, it will say, "Oh, that word is wrong," and the way they can't find it, because it doesn't exist anymore. And exactly what you were saying, because a lot of that old stuff is not really. You couldn't do that in Google and search for that word. It could look for websites that contain that word, but uh, you couldn't use that to. It would have to correct up your spelling and stuff, wrongly.
yeah. There should be a slang dictionary somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's DC and Marvel would be smart to put one of those out. They probably sell like the DC Marvel slang dictionary, and you know what I mean. I'll bet you they would make a lot of what do you call it? Money doing stuff like that. Just like they have those things they release once you're how much with the price guides. They
Yeah.
have those big thick price guides, and you have all these people who live and die by those price guides, right? But yeah, same thing. Like the Marvel, they have how to draw comics the Marvel way, and I think it was John the Scammer. He
John Basima, yeah.
Yeah, or Mesquima tomatoes. I was never sure about his pronunciation, but yeah, how to draw. Oh, you got it right there. There, I got that too. Your
Well,
your yours looks about just as beat up as mine.
yeah. Well, I bought this in Newfoundland
Oh,
back in the '80s. I lived there for a while. My father is from Newfoundland,
okay, yeah, yeah. I
so
have a few friends and stuff like that. I worked in the when I was working in and around the manual labor, a lot of warehouse work, basically doing everything. Tons and tons and tons of people who were from Newfoundland, right? But they'll give you their shirt off their back, but they'll do anything for you. Like, they're
okay.
super nice people, like most of them, 99.9%. I was there once. I
Oh
was,
yeah.
yeah, I always played with the band back in 1999, and there was so much fog that we had to land in Gander, and there was no air conditioning, and we're like sweating our guts out, right? And because I was supposed to go to St. John's, right? And then we sat there for 45 minutes, and the fog cleared. Okay, you guys can go and take off now. And we went there for the George Street Festival, and where they have there's like 200 bars or whatever they have on that street there, and they have that used to build a big stadium right in the middle of the street, and everybody be going crazy, and played that in a cover band, and then the next day out, I went out on the street and I said, I gotta get some fish and chips. I can't go back to Toronto and say I went and I didn't get fish and chips in Newfoundland. That would be dumb, eh?
Yeah. Did you get to kiss the cod while you were down there?
Oh no, I got halibut and chips. I didn't get any cod, but I got a few giant pieces of halibut. Let me tell you, that was the best. It was giant. I've never tasted halibut that good since. And, this is like 99. There's fish and chips places all over Toronto, and that was the best halibut I ever had. tell you.
Down there, Ron, when you go down, if you want to become an honorary Newfoundlander, you have to kiss a cod. You have to drink the Screech.
Well, I had some Nuki Screech. I did have that, the real Nuki Screech.
Yeah, but you didn't kiss the cod. You're not like they didn't make you an honorary Newfoundlander. You have to kiss the cod and drink Screech.
You have to get the cod, eh? Okay,
Yes,
I didn't
yes,
know that. I didn't know that. I could tell you a story what happened there, but it's a little bit on I remember this guy. We met him at the fish and chip store in Newfoundland, and my grandma came out to see you last night. And, she really wants to meet you, and I said, okay, we'll go to your place. And I guess his grandma had gone to the rock concert, and it was us one night, a bunch of different cover bands, and then the night before it was I Mother, if you remember those guys. And so I went to this guy's grandmother's place, and she gave us some little brownies and stuff. She was, I guess, she was in her early 80s, right? And the guy kind of told me, he goes, "My grandmother really likes you." And I said, "Okay, well, it's time to go." And I was thinking, well, I didn't really break down the situation. What kind of like it's like the night I gotta go back. We had one beer and then we left. She was a nice person. She brought us all these little, brownies and homemade cookies and all that. But yeah, so I was there for 3 days and we had a pretty good time. And then we left. So one of these days I gotta go back. I think, yeah, like I said, I think that was in 1999. So it's been a little while since I was there.
Yeah, what was the year again? I didn't hear you too well on what year you went down.
It was 1999. It was in the summertime. I don't remember exactly what month it was, but I remember in Toronto it was burning hot. And then we got to Newfoundland, and it was okay there. It was nice cool temperature. I think it was like 42 or 43 in Newfoundland, and then, in Toronto, and then we got to Newfoundland, something like 20, and no humidity, or 22, and there was no humidity, so it was way better weather there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great time.
There's a lot of changes since then because I went down probably about 8 years ago. 7 to 8 years ago I went down. So there's a lot of changes. They had a big oil boom down there, so a lot of things changed down there.
Oh, I can believe it. That's a long time ago. That's it. That to a young person, that's ancient times, 1999. That's like
oh yeah.
18 these days. I was at this place in 98, 97, and you see these people 98 or 97. Well, I wasn't even born yet. You're getting a lot of comic collectors now who are buying a lot of different comics, and they never saw them when they came out. Even some of the stuff in the 90s and the early 2000s, right? So, and then you're getting some of the people who don't buy comics at all. They're buying like everything like digital. Yeah, I still in the process. I was thinking of releasing my comic caricature just for the sake of, you got people in Europe and you have people in all, Japan, you name it, all over the world. So going digital with the first and the second Elite Controller comic, and then the third one comes out, because these people won't have the paper access, and maybe they don't even have real comic stores where they live, especially some of the third world countries who you get a lot of comic fans who they love comics, but they just don't have that type of access to comic books. So, that's one of the reasons I was thinking. Yeah, might as well. I said, these people deserve to read Late Controller too.
Yes, you do. Well, I went and had to seek it out to read your issue. I had to go to Toronto because I live in Cambridge. So
Oh,
I came up to Toronto. I can't remember because I think we've been friends on Facebook for quite a while, and I somehow heard about your book, and I
yeah.
think the only
Uh,
place I could get it was in Toronto at I think I got it at the Snail. Maybe I might have walked in and just happened to see it.
the second one you can get at a Studio Comics in Kitchener, which is probably a little bit closer for you, I'm assuming, right? 'Cause,
Yeah.
but yeah, so and the third one, I'm going to basically do the same thing. I'm going to try to branch out more. You almost have to be one of these people who. I went to Cole's bookstore once for the same thing. They gave me the same old jargon like, oh, if you sell so many hundred issues, show us the receipt, and then we're going to those kind of little concession stands they build for you, and then if you're an independent guy, you sit on the little stand like at Fan Expo
Yep.
in the art place, and it's a little what is it? Something like 6 feet wide by I think 2.5, 3 feet long, and you sell your comic book there. Uh, but I'll tell you a story which is really weird. I was at the Fan Expo in 2016, and I'm selling my Leaf Controller comics and all that, and then I see this big bunch of people walk by, and there was somebody with a horde of people around security guards, and it's Stan Lee, and he stops for a second, takes a look up at the big guy because I had made that flag you see on my web page. And he stops and he takes a look for a second. I said, "Well, at least Stan Lee knows who the dollar is now." I didn't talk to him or anything because I guess that you had, well, when he was still alive, he used to walk around like, Elvis Presley with his little Stanley mini mafia, right? So, but I thought that was pretty funny. I said, at least, you'll know who the controller is. Not that he cared at the time or anything, but, let him know Canada is tough too.
So you actually had a table there in 2016? You said.
Yeah, yeah. I rented out a table. You have to do everything at Van Expo, like 3 or 4 months. You're in advance. You get one. You slap your credit card online, and then they tell you, oh, we'll see if you're eligible. You know what I mean? They give you that whole, and then it's kind of like playing a maze, eh? And then every 4 or 5 days it's like Mission Impossible. Right? Every 4 or 5 days they give you a little clue, and then proceed to this website. Proceed to that website. Then eventually, after about 4 weeks, just about 3 weeks, or sorry, 3 days before the whole festival, they say, "Okay, you're in." And mind you, you've already paid in advance, and they say there's no guarantee that you don't get money back. I'm like, well, I hope I get in then, because it was like the $400 change just for one of them little tiny booths, and for the big giant one, you see those comic guys that was 1,100 and change. That was that was in 2016, so I don't know what they are now. Right? Maybe a couple $100 Supposed Fan Expo, it was originally, it's usually the tail end of August into early September, a couple days at the end of August to a couple days in early September. But now, suppose it's been, I was watching CP24 and it's been a move to November, right? So we'll see. I don't know. What's going on there. They're worried about the big crowds, and they're trying to keep Toronto safe. So I don't know. I guess it's up to the people at Fan Expo. I have no idea who's going to be there this year or anything. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's word on the street.
And I've been finding that getting into Fan Expo has been quite expensive because I come up every once in a while to scope out. I do photography too, so I come in and I think the last time I paid to get in was a couple of years ago. It was $50 to get in.
$50, eh?
Yeah, and I heard it went up after that.
The last time I went at the door, it might have been 2016, but it was $30, eh? So they raised it $20.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's just a day pass. That's just
yeah. It's just a Saturday. I came because I usually come in on Saturday because that's when I get to see. I got a lot of friends that are in the Artist Alley and stuff, and I just come in just to see them because I can't handle the crowds anymore. It might be okay if I'm sitting, even though I've got a table of my own, I can handle it. But if you're walking through, to get to where you're going in Artist Alley, it can be a bit overwhelming because there's way too much people pushing around and stuff like that.
yeah. There's a lot of people who are super high anxiety, hyperactive, and they gotta get to where they're going, and they want to get there fast, and you're just in their way. You know what I mean? So I know exactly what what you're talking about. Me myself, I'm a relaxed person, so I just let them go by. But you see a lot of these guys, it's almost like they're trying to body check you. I know they're not. They're just hyperactive people.
Yeah.
But, you almost have to, when you get into a situation these days, like where there's, thousands upon thousands of people at one, a fan expo, you almost have to stiffen up and just like prepare for the worst, because it's so bad there, right? You know what I mean? Like everyone wants to be somewhere like yesterday, right? You got a lot of there's I was reading this thing and they were saying back during World War II, there was only 11% of people in Canada who had anxiety. Now we're at 41%. So we're almost half the people you meet now have high anxiety. And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, man. I don't know what age, mind you, I don't know. I think this is probably all age groups, right? So you're getting a lot of people up there with high anxiety and with the computer too. If you kind of maybe like you or me or like we grew up without the computer. So I don't know, but I'm a pretty relaxed person, right? Uh, if I'm talking your head off right now, that's just we're trying to keep the people that are interested, but but most people I find these days are pretty, like you see them walking on the streets and they gotta get somewhere and they want to get there like yesterday, right? You're
Yeah.
like, I remember when I was a kid. I go, I don't remember walking that way. Like, it's almost like everyone is, speed walking. And I've always been like just an average walker. And I'm noticing this, but people are when you get into a setting like that, like Fan Expo or something. like I said, you almost have to stiffen up and prepare for the worst because someone's gonna bang into you sooner or later, right?
Yeah. Well, I know I've gone into Fan Expo a few times, and the fire department has asked them to close off and not let any more people come in
Oh,
because
really?
the capacity is too much for the building.
Oh, I can believe that. I can believe that because I remember being there, having to wait a couple minutes before I got on when I was leaving, just to get on the escalator, and people are really pushing. It's a little you've been there. It's that little kind of one man escalator, and even when I was on the escalator, people wanted to get by me. It's like you can't really get by anybody on that escalator. It's not like the Eaton Center or something where you had the people who want to walk up the escalator or the TTC, and then you have the people if you don't want to walk up the escalator, you stand to the side. Well, at Fan Expo, it's half that size, and everybody wants to move, and you're just in their way. Anyways, you know what I mean.
I know. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there several times. I've had a table there before, not for a long time. Um, I just haven't had the anything to go out and promote. When you go to Fend Expo, you need some. You're promoting your book or our new release or something like that, or you're going to sell some artwork. I got some friends that come from.
I got you off there. Are you still
Yeah.
doing any of some new North Shield stuff?
Yeah, I've got a new artist working on it. Um,
Okay.
I've gone through so many artists that worked on it. I had a guy from Montreal that was working on it originally. No, first I had a guy from Hamilton. He didn't feel comic books was his future, so he quit almost at the end of it. Then I met a guy in Montreal that sounded like he had a lot of energy. He wanted to do it, and so I give him the script. He drew it up. He drew up the second issue because I had the guy from Hamilton almost had the first one done. So I figured I had enough there. I could put the book together. And then the guy from Montreal says to me, he says, "Well, I can do a much better job on that first issue for you. Let me redraw that for you." So I'm working through a couple of temp service jobs and dirty old factories. I hate factory jobs.
Oh,
And
I
so I had to pay him through the jobs I was working at. And then he wanted ownership of the character. And then he tried. Oh yeah, and then I walked away from him. And then he tried to publish it on his own, claim it as his own. He took my name right off it and said written by Louis and drawn by Louis. And so I had to find a lawyer that would fight him. I didn't want to hurt the guy. I just wanted my stuff back and him not to publish, And the lawyers I was talking to said, well, the only way we could do anything is if he published it, and then we can sue him. And I said, well, he's going to make more money than I am, and I'm not going to be able to fight him. So I found a paralegal lawyer that was able to stop him from sending it to Diamond, and but he wouldn't give me back any of the digital work or any of the artwork and stuff that I paid for. So I just let it go. He did come online. What was he? He came and tried to phone me. I had won a trip to Rome, and he got a hold of my parents, and my mom went and told him I went to Rome, so he must have thought I had money. He got a hold of me. He was asking for $50,000 for all the artwork.
$50,000.
$50,000 for the artwork, and then he was giving me this bullshit that the book was selling more than 1 million copies. Well, Diamond was going to order 1 million copies off him. Back on our first issue, you never get 1 million copies.
Oh yeah, well if he wanted $50,000 and he was selling it to a million comics, then he wouldn't need you, right?
Yeah, I know. But I got Diamond stopped, so he couldn't distribute it, Well, so I wouldn't give him. I wouldn't give him the money. So I end up going on to one website called somethingawful.com. It's more of it's a hate. It's a hate website. You know, if you hated a movie, you go and then you trash the movie or whatever. Well, he went in and he trashed me in it. He photocopied all my Max Burger stuff, did a very bad scan of it, put it up for everybody to read for free, and then he said that I forced him to draw women, half-naked women, and men with machine guns and cigars.
This
I
guy,
forced him.
he sounds like a real quaalude. This guy.
Yeah.
He's like he's got some real psychological issues that
Yeah.
he had way before he met you, and then that's kind of like I said, like that's one of those tales of caution. Like you could
Yeah.
write a book just on
Oh, Alan Yack, yeah.
yeah, that whole tale of caution about who you're working with and stuff like, especially since the fact that you're putting all your hard-earned money working the warehouse circuit
Yeah.
into all this whole thing, and then the guy pulls all that stuff. Like, if he's such a great artist and all that, and why didn't he just make up his own characters, get his own book going?
Yeah. Well, he did have his own book. He had a book, and I'm not going to say the name of it, but he did a book in Montreal. He did, I think, 7 issues. He self-published himself. The artwork wasn't that great. He had it was supposed to be a superhero book. It was I think he gave me the 3rd issue. It was so confusing. I couldn't follow, because usually when you jump into a comic book, and if it's got a continuity in it, at least you can jump in anywhere almost and still be able to follow the storyline. Well, his was so complicated. I didn't know what was going on. He had so many characters in there. He had must have been about 15 or 20, in the whole book, and it was like the Avengers kind of thing, and so he had a guy
taking all the Star Wars movies and taking all the characters and juxtaposing them in different movies, and then trying to figure out what's going on, instead of trying to watch it right from the beginning.
Well, if his book were one of the Star Wars movies, I would say it either would be The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, because they both sucked.
Oh,
you didn't see those? You didn't see those movies?
I've seen every single one except for, and it's weird because I have a friend who sent 2 of them to me, and the one with Harrison Ford, and then the one right after. I still got them sitting there. I just haven't watched them. And someone keeps saying they suck. I said, well, I got them for free. I'm going to watch them anyways. But the first 3, of course, my favorites are classics. But I know what you mean by the convoluted characters. And I've seen a lot of comics where I saw this one independent comic, and I don't remember the title of it. It was at Silver Snow Comics. And it was one of those ones that was... it was set in medieval times, but at the same time it was in space. And I got about halfway through the comic and said, you know what? I've read Lord of the Rings. And this guy's already confusing me, And Lord of the Rings is, mind you, that's a giant book, right? Like the first one. And so I know what you mean by like those guys with all these weirdo convoluted characters. And, most comic book fans, they want to see, a simple character. You can make the story a little bit complicated at times, but spread it out over a few issues, like kind of one of them, 5 or 6 piece issues, and so that people could comprehend a little bit better. Me myself, I just like to do it like, super simple, a lot of action, and keep the people interested with the super villains or whatever the storyline is. If it's not super villains, but keep it simple, stupid. Because you got to remember that you're not the only one. In other words, don't write for yourself. Write for you got to almost write for yourself, but at the same time, write for the public, so they can at least the first few issues, right? So then that way you grab a hold of them, and then they start to buy your comic, and then at issue 20 or something, you get an A, 50. You can start to write a little bit more convoluted, but don't go too nuts, right? Because, like you were saying, they're hard to. You already got enough. You don't want 200 characters to create your first or second comic.
Yeah, you just don't want to make it too complicated. You want to keep it clean. You want to, I look at it. It's an escape for us. Like when I read comic books, it was an escape. It was cool to like when you read Superman. I wouldn't recommend from somebody jumping off a roof or something, but you always felt that, I could become Spider-Man. I could become Superman. Put on this cape and I could do anything.
Well, if you read Superman, I actually got that Treasury edition there that's on your walls. I got that same one without a cover. Mind you, the cover came off because I've read it so many times. But that's real simple writing too. But at the same time, it's well done. So done, but simple, right? Like you don't have to be complicated to be.
Yeah. Well, this guy in Montreal, he was a superhero book. He had a black eye that I think was supposed to be Nick Fury, but with a patch on his eye that was bolted into his head. There was orgies. There was Satanism in it. There was people hanging from the wall with their skin tore off, swearing and cursing. And I'm like going, and he says to me, I don't know why my book is not selling. And I'm going, well, it's because you probably have all that stuff in there that nobody wants to look at.
Well, yeah, like, it's okay. Like I remember reading a story about the Conan years and years ago, and they wanted to because they have the Comics Code Authority. They couldn't do some of the stories in the Conan in the regular color issues, so that's why they made the big black and white savage sword of Conan. Like this, I could understand. Okay, you show a tiny bit more skin, but you still have to stay with it. The story still has to be good. That's just one of those sideline things that there has to be a little tiny bit there, but you don't go schizo overboard with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And if, again, it's a horror comic. They used to make a lot of those in the late 70s and early 80s on the big black and white magazines. They got a little bit of gore in them, but the stories were so good that if you have one or two panels of gore, which wasn't at that time, mind you, the gore was at a lot lower level than it is now. People didn't mind, and you didn't have to worry about the Comics Code Authority. But what you're saying is just completely and utterly off the wall, sexy gore and swinging from chandeliers naked.
There was too much. If it was supposed to be a superhero book, then be it a superhero book. But he put too much stuff in it. It was supposed to be like the Avengers kind of storyline. It was horror. It was Satanism stuff in it, and I'm like going, that's way too much stuff to pack into one issue.
Yeah,
You know, and get rid of all that stuff. You know, just make it a typical superhero story, and it would have worked. But
I know exactly. Well, that's why I tried to keep the Elite Patroller, and because it's a what do you call it? He's got the Canadian emblem, maple leaf on his chest. You can't go too overboard with any of it. You got to keep everything so everybody can read it. Like I remember I was working at the stand at Fan Expo, and this little kid came up, and his dad bought it for him. Right, bought him the First Fleet Patrol, and there's nothing in there that's offensive to anybody. So when you were a kid, 8 years old or 9, 10, whatever, and you bought your first comic book, you were like, "Oh, hyped up! Hey, check this out!" Whatever. So I'm trying to envision my brain back to that time and make it so adults can read it, but by the same token, if a kid can also read it and have a great time reading it too, because you want to make it access to everybody, right? Not just the people in society who are a little bit twisted, right?
yeah. You don't want to put it in a small demographic. You want a bigger demographic so everybody can enjoy it.
Oh yeah. You got to make it simple, like you were saying, simple but good. Writing wise, artistic wise, everything. You got to you just put everything you got into it and make it so accessibility to everybody, right? Even your grandmother.
Yeah. So you got to do that for books, unless you're going to do it for an adult, and then you put on the cover adults only, and that's it.
If you want to do that, I think you're cutting your audience in half if you do. That's good for something like tried and true comics that have already been around for.
Vampirella for one.
Yeah, like stuff that's got that's already been around for so many years. It's got thousands upon thousands of followers. It's going to sell no matter what you do, or it's the same thing in the music era where, you have a band that's, Rolling Stones or Aerosmith or Kiss that have been around for so many years that they could put basically an album out and they have their legions of fans. They're going to buy this stuff because they've built up a fan base for so many years. Then you could do that in your comic. But to do that right from the get-go, and then, not to mention what he did with with all this backstabbing, it sounds like a nightmare situation to me. But I guess you got over it, and you're out off the bigger and better things now, right?
Yeah. I got a new. I had an artist about 3 years ago working on it, and I couldn't get the money raised for him because I was going to try to do a Kickstarter. And it was Marvin.
What's the going rate? What do they charge you? Like, I know that Marvel pays something like $250 a page American, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What's the going rate for your average?
I think it's around $65. It wasn't too bad. But if you got a big book, some like mine is some like 80 pages. It's a graphic novel, so I grew up. The more I write in this character, the bigger the story gets. And so it was around 80 pages. It was a graphic novel, and it was the origins of them.
So, like 65, you're getting to a lot of money there, right?
Yeah, it was about. It would have came to about $3,000 to pay him. 3 or 4,000. So I was working in Guelph for a while because Guelph is next to Cambridge, and I was working at a place called Skyjack for a while. But I hated the place. I was grinding metal and working afternoon shift. That was kind of hard, and I'm in my 50s, so my late 50s.
Steel work for Forge. I used to be at a steel polishing place,
Yeah.
and you have these big giant, I don't know, 20,000 pound rolls, I was working with a lot of Vietnamese guys, and they all knew the job perfect, and they were kind of all trained at me, right? I didn't know anything, and but I know what you mean. Any type of steel place that you work at, you're gonna sweat your guts out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were next to the welders because they made these frames for these lift jacks. Well, they're called skyjacks, but they kind of look like bodies, like the frames part for cars. And then you get down, and when they come from the welders, you'd have to grind down them to smooth them out.
okay.
And I did that for I think 6 months. But we had a couple of heat waves. When I started, it was cool, and you had to wear a long sleeve. You still had to wear a long sleeve anyway when you're grinding because all the sparks and stuff,
Yeah, I was thinking a little metal dust flying through the air and all that stuff.
And I had to get was wearing those masks. I know what those masks are like to wear, and I don't like to wear the masks because it's hard to breathe in warmer weather and stuff.
Especially that heat wave and any type of heat whatsoever. You put on a mask, and you could be like, ready for the Olympics, but you get in a hot warehouse with metal chips or fiberglass or any of that type of stuff, where they have the bay door shut and there's no real airflow. And trust me, you'll go from like a guy who could throw javelins to a guy in a wheelchair pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, I was finding my clothes. My clothes were getting pretty wet. They were giving us heat breaks, and then they stopped doing it. And the one foreman told me, he says you want to keep cool, you have to stay in front of the fan for 5-10 minutes. I'm like, really? That's going to cool me off? It's
well, when I stand there all day and you just pay me, that's a better idea. I know what you mean. You never, these guys also it's the same old story, like not enough workers and they want you to work super fast. And they don't care if it's 45 degrees Celsius. But I used to have a job where I was, you had 300 to 600 pound plastic rolls, and we were making all different size garbage bags. And so you had to walk the doll and tip the roll over into the rollers in the back, thread the entire machine, and then press up on the computer all the different folds. And then it would go through kind of a chopping process, and they'd come out and go into a box. And then the box, once it was filled with 500 or 250, whatever it was, would ka-ching over, and then there'd be an ending to this where you take the box, you build a skid with 100 or 50 or whatever you needed, and so that place was, oh man, there was no air conditioning. It was the same deal where they put fans in front of you, but they couldn't put them too close because then it would blow the garbage bags all over the machine. So you had to you had to endure, and so the boss, being the nice guy that he was, he'd say, okay, well, free water, and he would buy a free Pepsi and free Coke that you go to the fridge and get, and that was the only compensation you had. You could drink as much water and Coke and Pepsi, but after about 2 Cokes, 2 Pepsis, get dehydrated, you just start drinking water, and by the end of the day, you don't feel like doing nothing. You're just so burnt out from
Yep.
the heat, right? It's like going to a sauna for umpteen hours. Come home, and you hit the couch with the remote, and there you stay for the rest of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what that's like. And,
Yeah. That
I
I had
one,
my share of manual labor, let me tell you.
well, I worked at one place. This is a long time ago when I was working with a guy from Montreal. I worked in a factory. I was on this press machine. The foreman comes running over. I'm on the machine for a half an hour. He comes running over. He says, "Stop the machine." And I said, "Why?" He says, "I forgot to bolt in the die."
Oh,
I was like, I had this thing imagining if this thing came out and the machine just pumping down,
oh yeah.
and then probably the thing would slide right out like out of the machine and crush me.
Oh yeah. I remember working at a place like they trained me too for making t-shirts, silk screen t-shirts.
Oh
And
yeah,
so they finished training me. I'm there a month. And just get used to the whole, the hours and everything. And some of it was forget what you call those big movie where they have that kind of like Van Expo with all the big stars come out to Toronto and in September. And so, anyways, we're making t-shirts for all of this. They do all the training, work there for a month, and after 1 month, they go to me, "Oh, we don't like the way you work, and we're going to have to let you go." And I'm thinking to myself, well, why did you waste your time training me? Doing a good job. I think they just wanted to get rid of me at that time. So you get to a lot of jobs too, right? But I know what you mean about working in the summer and the heat and all that. By the end of the day, you're black and white.
yeah, yeah. Well, I remember leaving that one job up in Guelph at night. We would go and clean. They wouldn't allow us to get ready 5 minutes before the shift ended. So I would end up, me and this other guy that I worked with, we would take off into the office washrooms and we wash.
Okay.
And we leave the bathroom dirty because we had so much soot over our face, our arms, and stuff like that, But we'd be clean and we'd be ready to go when we left. We'd be the first ones to get out. But
Oh yeah.
you see the people leaving at 11 o'clock at night. They'd be just ripping out of the parking lot,
Oh yeah, it was like I remember working a job at a outdoor tire place. I'll never work outside again. I worked there for a year. Every temperature from the coldest time of the year to the hottest time of the year, and we had to separate old tires. And some of these tires were from the late '70s, and they had all types of blue liquids in them, and you name it. We had these giant overalls and a tire in each hand, and we had built piles of 7 and 8, and then this big tractor would come over and take the pile. And let me tell you, it was the same deal where your arms just were black and creased and everything. It didn't matter if you had gloves and everything; you were just filled with dirt. And same thing though. You went into the washrooms and you looked at the floor and it was just black. And I felt sorry for you.
Yeah.
So much grease.
It's terrible. I worked in places that are just as terrible as that, so I know what it's like. I like doing comic books better than doing work at somewhere else,
Yeah, like that's what I wanted to do years ago. Like I said, when I actually started Legion, controller.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had that little pad, and I was kind of drawing on the bus, little pictures of superheroes, and then I came up with the Leap controller idea and everything. But I said, I got to get out of this whole manual labor thing because eventually doing that every day doesn't matter what you do, your body's gonna break down. Just
Yeah.
and you can be the healthiest person. You don't drink, you don't smoke. I don't care who you are. Your body's eventually gonna break down, and then you're not gonna be able to do it. Then you're gonna be screwed. So you're almost better to work for yourself. Find a job where you can get paid yourself. You pay yourself. Well, it's your band you're actually paying, but where you're working for yourself and not working for somebody else, and you're making money doing it. You say, well, I could probably do this till I'm 75 or 80 or whatever, and it won't take anything out of you. Manual labor is one of those things where uh, you got the grape, and then once you squeeze that grape, the boss squeezes that grape, and all the juice is gone out of it. Sorry. Okay, that's it for you. See you later. We got your best years out of you, and now you're no good anymore physically. So bye bye, and you're kind of I can't work anymore because my back is shot. My spine is gone. My knees are whatever, depending on what type of manual labor you're doing. So drawing superheroes, uh, your North Shield and my Leaf Controller is much more, it's mentally more beneficial, that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And as for being financially beneficial, well, I'm still working on that, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm doing that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you do your best, right,
Yeah.
for the craft you got, but making a comic book and trying to promote that comic book and be for instance, the writer, the writer, artist, whatever else. Um, it's much more beneficial because when you turn 85, you're not going to be able to do manual labor. And, what are you going to do after you're 65 years old? Sit there and say, well, I could have did it. I should have done this stuff all together when I was younger. So you're almost better to build up a fan base now and get it together now. So if it takes you 5 years or 6 or 7 years, you you know you're moving towards that goal, right? I'd be happy just to be popular in Canada. I'd be the luckiest guy in the world just to be popular even in and around Ontario and Quebec, whatever. I'd be a happy guy, right? Once I get a name and everything, I'm going to see about what I can do with the translation part, making it available also in French, so that that you got a whole different culture over there, and perhaps selling it over in Quebec in French, and then that way you have you're making money over there. By the same token, you're bringing your character over there. Like I was saying earlier, we don't have much big, gigantic Canadian characters. I have I think it's a Toronto Star article, and it's talking about making a movie out of the Captain character. And I don't know if I've seen some of the cartoons that they've made over there, and that looks pretty good, mind you. But you know, Canadian comic book character thing something happening over here because there's so many giant movies being made at DC Comics and Marvel Comics that we got, and we're kind of like the underdog, still in the comic book industry, not the music industry as of the last 10 or 15 years. But the comics,
Oh, you're starting to freeze up there.
something happened. I don't know. I guess it was downloading. But like I said, in the comic book industry, we're still second-class citizens, basically. We're not. There's no respect. There's nothing. You ask anybody is about a Canadian character who live in the States, and I guarantee you, other than say some maybe people who live closer to the border, where I guess a Catholic can actually sold, maybe New York State or places like this. Like, I mean, you go down to some of the southern states, and I don't know if they got the southern states now, Catholics, not anything about what state you take in. I guess they can answer that question better than me. But my point being, let's get Canada and some of the Canadian characters on the map, and as opposed to a lot of the big names. Those big health industries have been around since the golden age, right?
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of English guys in there, mind you.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you ask anyone in the U.S., I'm pretty sure the only name they might be able to come up with is probably Captain Canada, I would say. And I'm just going on a whim here, but you go. Like I said, I know that there's comic stores who sell them, whether they're on the the same racks as say some of the European characters, and quote unquote Captain Britain style characters, and stuff like this. I don't know, but I guess my main objective is to make a popular channel first, and then make the Elite Controller popular in the U.S. too, which will be a giant with a big Canadian people even suggest, but it's okay.
Well, you need to expand your IP for your character. It's not the book that's going to make you money to live on and stuff like that. You have to look at other things like merchandise, cartoons, and stuff like that. That's what's going to bring in cash for you.
Oh, I know what you mean. You basically what you're saying is you gotta go to the move towards the digital era, and because I think we're gonna come to a time, maybe not now, but in 10 years or so, maybe that be a problem where it's just going to be everything, every last thing, and the paper comics will only be sold on eBay and Amazon and Comic Cons, where you're buying the old the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and Bronze Age comics for collectors, right? But I can't see them having comic books, like actual paper comic books 10 years from now, right? So I might be wrong when they'll come back like vinyl records came back. So I don't know, but I guess we have to see, right?
Well, there's a guy I'm following, Ron. Well, he's a 25-year-old 25-year veteran of comic books, Van Sciver, and he's reached $1 million mark on his Indiegogo. So people are not going to go to comic book stores and that anymore. And it's better if you go to a crowdfunding, because then that way you can send people your books directly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and,
Well, like I said, I mean, the process of just, I got all my comics, the first and second on the USB sticks, and every page obviously there's been where they color matched and everything and all that, and on a USB stick, and then all the only thing I got to do is basically start uh, becoming more of a computer guru and
yep,
figuring out how to do stuff and Photoshop and all that. To me, I'm one of those stupid people who who just surf the net to get other people to do the dirty work for me, right? But I
yep,
got to start getting more up in that and learning how to do all these different things that I don't know how to do behind the times or nothing. But it's just that when you draw a comic and there's a whole different process and a different mindset once you've got that about getting it online and digitalizing, or I don't know what the word is, but making your character go digital and sending it to all different kinds of countries for comic books and popularizing it through the computer. That's you almost have to kind of like one of those things where you're kind of learning as you go, and whoever can help you with this endeavor, whether it's your best friend or somebody who knows a little bit more about the computer than you, say, hey, try this or go to this website. I actually had a guy who was talking stuff. It's really freaky stuff you can do on Photoshop, and it's really weird. I'll tell you a story. Van Expo, there's this Asian fellow sitting next to me, and basically this guy he was about stick level people as an artist, and he was drawing pretty good renditions of this and that. But he was at a stick level kind of artist wise. So, and then he had these different framed pictures beside himself. So I looked at them, and it was the same characters, but really, just made right up with muscles and kind of like almost looked like photographs of Niagara Falls in the background and everything. And I said, well, how did it go that you're this level artist? He goes, well, he was just really good at the computer. Like this guy knew how to take like a stick level character and make it look like, this guy was Leonardo da Vinci. And it freaked me right out because that was the level he was at on the computer, but he wasn't actually that great. He was, like I said, he was beginner level, but there's nothing wrong with being that. But I mean, his knowledge was amazing.
right.
It was really good, and he was right beside me at the Van Expo. It freaked me out anyway. So I saw this. After that, I said, "Yeah, I gotta update my skills." That was a couple of years ago, so I'm falling a bit behind.
You know what? But the best thing is to learn, Ron, is to be a marketer. That's what you need to be. You gotta.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, the internet helps, but you got to be a marketer. You got to be able to get on, and even if you get on the internet and you do a YouTube channel and stuff like that, then you build up your audience, and then you market your stuff and all that.
I saw this thing on TV one time, and it was the story of you remember the guy from KTEL? Who remember all the KTEL records from
Yeah.
the 70s and the greatest hits of this, the
Yeah.
greatest hits of that. Well, they showed this guy. It was the whole story of KTEL, and I know things were a bit different back then, but like how he marketed everything, and he was going to circuses, and it was super interesting how he took his KTEL records and then got the rights of all these different artists and put it all together, and you'd have 10 songs from all the 10 different artists on this side of the record, and then you flip the record over and paint it ditto on the other side, and then he marketed it, so he'd have these commercials on TV, and KTEL brings a new such and such together, and great story about marketing and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure that would probably be on YouTube or something, but it was one of them kind of W5. I don't know if you ever watched the show W5, where or 2020, same thing basically, where they had an interview with the guy that showed us kind of on his way up and how he did all of the marketing and everything, and it was some mind you, this was back in the days way before the computer, but just the way he marketed everything, I thought was pretty interesting myself. Right, it was really good stuff. Right? How he took all these ideas about marketing that no one had did before him, and he took it to the next level and just marketed the crap out of all his stuff, and then. He made millions and millions of dollars way back when, and I just thought it was a great story about marketing.
Yeah. Well, that's what you need to do for getting the Leaf Patroller going. Have you had any interviews with like the Toronto Star or the Globe or anything? Because they're right in your town. I don't know if I think the Globe moved, didn't they? Didn't the Globe move because they're building a condo or something? Because I came to Toronto a few weeks ago, and I noticed that when you went over the bridge, what road was I on? Spadina. I went on Spadina, and noticed that the Globe building is not there anymore.
Yeah, I know. They move okay. It's really weird because when I was a kid, I worked for the Globe and Mail. It used to come down the conveyor belts, and I used to be the guy. All I did all day was press a button and put the yellow strap on it.
Uh-huh.
And I grab the paper, and you make your skin, right? But yeah, I remember the Globe and Mail, and they changed, like you were saying. I think all these, like the Toronto Star, I don't know if they'll ever close down because they're pretty big too. But they've all shrunk though. They're like, you look at them now, they were giant papers. Now they're all like the National Enquirer size. They're all like miniature now. They're almost the size, maybe a tiny bit bigger than the People or the Us magazines out there, a little bit bigger, like Treasury edition size magazines now. And before they were a lot bigger, but I'm assuming they got to use less paper because paper's expensive, and not as many people are out there buying it, right? And a lot of your information now is online, mind you. I try to get most of my info from the TV and then kind of weigh it between the internet and the TV, and then you come up with something in between that's the actual news, right?
Yeah, but you actually need to go to one of these places and get interviewed and tell them about your book.
Yeah, I was actually
even people are not reading the papers that much. At least you're getting the word out.
Exposure, yeah,
Yeah,
exposure.
yeah. You got all kinds of magazines. What's a Now magazine? Is that still published in Toronto?
Yeah, that one they still it's still I'm pretty sure they still have that one in front of the Spadina station, and it used to be everywhere, mind you. Like, yeah, every block you'd see Now magazine. Now it's just you actually have to go and look for it. Yeah, most bookstores at the front of most bookstores, you'll see the Now magazine, but you can charge for it or free. And I think Silver Snail still has Silver Snail Comics, but it's not as big as it used to be magazine wise. Maybe they've gone online and they're big magazine wise, but they're not. They're not. I don't think they're what they used to be back in say the '90s and the early 2000s, right? But I think that's the same thing with everybody, right? Who have not got completely digital, right? You're getting a lot of these of magazines who used to be gigantic.
Well, see,
And
there's so much stuff out there, Ron. There's so much digital platform stuff. You got the Disney Plus, you got the Warner Brothers.
oh,
You
I
know,
know, I know.
people and people are not concentrating a lot on that. I don't say that digital stuff is selling too well because I know digital comics you don't make anything off them.
Oh,
Um,
that's what I've a couple of
yeah,
people told me that
and if you got digital, well, you've got digital too. You can send it to somebody else. If you say if you bought a subscription for Marvel online, you could transfer. I could send you a copy of that, and you didn't have to pay for that.
oh really?
Digital.
Well, I
Yeah.
know that somebody was telling me I go to a lot of the Toronto conventions, and this guy told me you can buy Silver Age, a basically everything that Marvel ever published. For I think it was somewhere around $100 a year, and you have access to everything they've ever done,
Yeah.
and for a lousy $100 a year. And then these guys are like that and scratching their heads and saying, "Well, I don't know why comic books aren't selling anymore." Well, why did you give access to everybody? What they should
Yeah.
have did was just the new comics that were coming out. That would make sense on a monthly basis, but don't give everyone that bulk rate to everything, and then they're going to be able to check out the stuff. They're printing in the hard shell books, the Marvel Masterworks reprints and everything.
Yeah.
Uh, you know what I mean? Hold on a second. I get some stuff from my. There we go. Yeah, the Marvel Masterworks stuff, and um, they're giving too much access away to too many things to make real fast money, and they're not really thinking of the future and in the next 10 years. And but what you're saying is a good idea to go to some of the tried but true places like Toronto Star, Globe and Mail,
Yeah.
Toronto Sun. And yeah, I was actually thinking of doing that too. But
Yeah, because
also, I'm going to write a couple of small short stories just to get the name out there and send them to a Reader's Digest, because the Reader's Digest is almost in every single dentist office, you name it. And I think everybody's even a lot of my aunts and uncles, they still read the Reader's Digest for subscription. So that's another idea I got. But what you're saying is definitely a move forward towards exposure.
Yeah.
Right? Every new comic artist needs some exposure. So walking into one of these big conglomerates like the Globe and Mail or Toronto Star it won't hurt anyway.
No.
That.
Well, what you should do, Ron, is write out a really nice press release
Okay.
and go through, because you can go on the websites like the Star and the Sun and look for somebody that you know are into the entertainment business or comic book. Do so you can do search on the websites and look for comic book related stuff. So you can find the writer who did that article on the comic books. Send him the press release. Send it to a couple other people too, just in case he doesn't.
I still got that. I've got actually a few comic book articles. Every time I just by coincidence, occasionally I'll buy the Toronto Star or the Sun, and if there's something about any type of comic book, I usually flip it and I put it into my scrapbook, right? So I do have but I do still have that that Captain Canuck article about them interested. There's a few different places that were interested in making a Captain Canuck movie. So maybe what you were saying, that's a good idea. Phone that guy up or try to email him, get in contact somehow for a little bit of leaf patroller exposure, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it would be better if you send like a letter or something. Let me show you my scrapbook.
Okay,
Here.
sure.
Like turn it around.
Oh,
There's,
I can see. And this is all a different article.
they're all different interviews.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I try to keep it straight for you.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I know you did a couple of CB. Was it for the CBC?
I had an interview back in 1989 from a TV station in Kitchener called CKCO News.
Oh, see, I remember those guys.
Yeah, they were small, but they got bought up by CTV.
Okay, I wonder what happened. I remember those guys. So I remember watching those guys a few years back. Yeah, I didn't know that they were watching CTV though. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea. Look up the guy who wrote the article and say, hey, this is my character. Would you be interested in doing an article or an interview? This is very, very pro-Canada, and I know a lot of these places love, anything that's pro-Canada. I remember seeing the mayor of Toronto, Mayor Tory, and he did something towards Captain Canuck, and I remember seeing the Captain Canuck come down on a cable and talk about the comic a little bit. It's on YouTube. I watched it because I remember seeing it on CP24, which is owned by CTV, and they showed a clip of it. And I didn't catch it, so I said, "I'll bet you this is on YouTube," and I found it, and it was they were doing some type of introduction to some type of policing or something, and they used the whole Captain Canuck character to come down in front of these kids and everything. But for the Captain Canuck character, it was a great exposure, right? You get on CP24. That's about the best exposure you're gonna get. It's it's in every subway station all over the place.
Yeah, you're going to see that all over the place because we get CP24 here in Cambridge because we get it through the cable and stuff.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah. But, or even try maybe getting a costume made of the Leaf Patrol and having somebody dress up and then do some kind of an event. Get it all organized with the police or whatever that needs to, so you can not get into any trouble, right?
That's one of my ideas. I've actually been thinking about that. I thought, I'll bet you if I know a couple of people who have really, top-notch camcorders, with the whole, motionless thing where you got the two vice grips, almost like a gamer, and that helps you move and stuff, and so they can film it professionally. I said, I'll bet you if I made a Leaf controller costume, and then just went down the street and and stopped people on the street and asked them questions about Canadian comics and stuff like that, and then put it on YouTube or something along these lines, just for the exposure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know people are they want everything quick, like yesterday, like we were talking about earlier, and to have a character live on YouTube, and even on my page, have access, so you can just kind of get the little clip on my page also, and then send it around to a bunch of people in the digital world. This is a good idea too, especially something like CTV, where all the way they're in every province. CTV Alberta, CTV, you name it, there's a CTV, right?
Yeah, and it will probably be broadcast maybe across the country or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Depending on how interesting it is for them to pick it up somewhere else.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea, but just and it's actually weird because I have a relative who's a tailor, and this guy made a heavy duty kiss costumes for people, and so I'm pretty sure, and he makes things that. So I'm pretty sure if he could do that, he could probably make me a leaf thrower, custom made leaf thrower, and charge me next to nothing because hey, he's related, he better do it,
Yeah.
But he's what we call it, cousin of my dad. But I talked to him fairly recently, and see what his prices are. Pretty sure he gets sometimes they half price or reduction there, right?
Yeah.
And he's pretty easy going guy. So
Well, and it's pretty good for kids too. The kids will come right up to this character, because I had my North Shield done, a spandex suit done up, and I had an actor put into it. Now, first guy I got was like, he must have been over, I think it was 6'5" or something. But he wasn't muscular. I had the last moment to get an actor to get in the suit, and I put it in this gym. I said, need a bodybuilder to wear spandex suit for being a superhero. So I only got one call, and this guy was 6'5". Well, he fits the role, but he's not muscular. He's got a bit of a stomach.
Well, those bodybuilders, they charge a lot of money, right? So
Yeah.
I could do it myself. Like I do a lot of exercise, not to a bodybuilding extent.
Yeah. Well, I don't think your leaf patroller guy is really over muscular, right?
I'll to start off, as long as you exercise a few times a week, you got a bit of a chest and stuff like that. You don't have to be a Luke Rigno or Arnold Schwarzenegger, but as long you're just out there to get the exposure, right? So as long as you're in half decent shape, and you don't look like the kingpin or anything, I think you'll be half decent, right?
Yeah.
Me,
Well,
I'm not super slim, but I'm not hefty either, right? So
Yeah.
So I think I could live with 4 weeks.
Well, you don't want to be dressed up as the character. You want somebody else doing it, because you want to be there talking to any reporters or kids or anything like that. So you don't want to be the character. You want the actor, whoever you get to be the part of the Leaf Patroller, to be the Leaf Patroller, and you be the artist, and you be the guy that be talking to everybody about,
What you're
Yeah. So rather than you being split into being your character and yourself, that's going to be too much work on you. So if you have somebody
Yeah,
else that's just going to be just the leaf patroller, and then you can be there to explain the stuff. You know,
yeah,
he can say, "I'm the leaf patroller." You
yeah,
know,
I agree with you there. Maybe get head to the gyms where all the big giant bodybuilders hang out and try to get some
well, you must have some.
stand for 4 or 5 hours. But by the same
Yeah.
token, try to find some guy with the real superhero type of voice, right? Get the guy
Yeah.
with the voice to kind of like the old Steve Reeves Hercules movies, Hercules and Hercules, where he had that, I see some of the superhero movies, but they're all kind of copying of the original. Not what's his name, Michael Keaton. Ever since Michael Keaton, everybody was a whisperer. Everybody's they all talk like this and thing. But
Or Kristen Bell. You go Kristen Bell. You swear to me.
Yeah, I know. Like what is the guy got? Like one of them, helicopter mics in there, and then it's always this over volume whisper. Right? Everybody. Now, what's his name? The guy who did Batman Returns. What was his name again? Batman Returns and everything.
Well, wasn't that Keaton? Wasn't that Keaton? Michael Keaton in Batman Returns?
No, the other guy, the English guy who did it.
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, that's it. I thought he did a good job when he did that. I thought he did a good job too. Mind you, I still think that the first Batman with Michael Keaton, that's my favorite of the new Batman. My favorite costume because I just thought the way he talks like this. I remember him punching the Penguin. I think it was in the second one, but I didn't even look at him. I thought that was pretty funny. But I know some of the newer ones. The one with what's that actor's name here? The newest guy. I said this with my tongue. Ben Affleck. Sorry, Ben Affleck. I know that he has one of those over volume voices too, right? But he's kind of leaning towards Michael Keaton. He's just kind of following that trend. So I'd have to hire like a bodybuilder with a really good voice. But
you'll probably have some friends. Maybe you can look for friends and ask them if they can, work with you. You want to keep it down too, right? The price for hiring somebody.
Yeah, because you got to hire them multiple times the same guy, hopefully, right? So
Yeah.
I was thinking of just, when you said that, just go in the gym and kind of ask around, is there anyone available? Like, do it hands-on and just walk into the gym that you know is frequented by a lot of, professional bodybuilders. Walk in and just say, hey, I've got this character, and would you be interested in such and such? And if so, what would your rate be per hour? Some of the stuff I'm going to do would be, 4 hours here, 2 hours there, and would you be interested in an ongoing, occasional commitment? Said this would be the rate. So that's a great idea also. And then just kind of be the guy who's behind it with the comic book. I write, I be the artist, you know what I mean? The exposure like this, and and use the bodybuilder as the actual superhero.
Yeah, and just and maybe if you go around and do stuff like that, maybe might be a good idea to go to schools. Maybe have some free items you can give to the kids.
Like stuff like that. Is what
Yeah, maybe even photocopy stuff so they can color and stuff.
oh,
You know, I'm just throwing out some ideas for you.
yeah. You're right about the coloring books. I know that.
And make sure you take the reporters with you when you go to these places, so you can get.
Oh yeah, well that's the main thing. You want
Yeah,
to phone up every Tom, Dick, and Harry in town. And,
yeah,
say, hey, I'm going to be at such and such place, and League Patroller's going to be there too. So you better
yeah,
get your little fanny down there because this is limited access, and he only shows up once a year, like Santa Claus.
yeah. Because the only time you can do that is probably during the summer, because those spandex suits. If you're in an air-conditioned place and the guy has nothing on but his underwear underneath that,
Oh
he's gonna
yeah,
freeze.
yeah.
He's gonna freeze to death.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you can't do that type of thing in the winter. I know, and all that. The whole body armor thing is you can get pretty expensive. You're looking at minimum 1,200 and up. I know a guy who also does that with his costumes, and he'll make anything for you. He'll make it exact, but he's pretty pricey. And I tend to go old school and just make the thing out of spandex and a little bit of leather here and there, and
yeah.
the right body, and that way, spandex is still pretty inexpensive.
Well,
It's
when I had the suit made, it cost me $200 to have that suit made, and that was back in the '90s. In the '90s, I had it. It was 90. I think it was 94 or 96. I had the suit made out of spandex. And the guy who made it, he was a tailor. He made he fixed jackets and stuff like that, and he didn't know how to make it. And so they put a zipper in the back from your ass up to your neck, and I put that thing on once, and it was hard to zip that thing up.
Oh, okay. Well, I would definitely pick mine because he's got a big army belt, the Leaf Controller. I
Yep.
would definitely make it two-piece. I would just have to figure out because you don't want many lines. Okay? You want to try to keep it as original as possible. So I would try to do is make the mask actually part of the shirt, and then because he has a beret on, maybe
Yep.
make an opening there that buttons shut, and then that way then just have clip buttons for the top of the beret, so it kind of keeps it on as he's moving his head. So if you wanted to take the mask down, you could take it down from the top, just unclip the buttons, and then if you wanted to drink water, because it's kind of like Deadpool, where it's all one piece and you just see the lens, or Spider-Man, right, where it's all one piece. But he's got the web Spider-Man to hide the seams there, right? So I definitely have to make some kind of button job at the top. But I know what you're saying. You go into a place out in the winter with spandex that you're going to freeze your fanny off.
Oh yes, everything's gonna shrink. Shrinkage.
I remember watching that episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That girl sees George stands in the pool. There was shrinkage. There was shrinkage.
Shrinkage. Yeah.
There was shrinkage involved, eh?
Yeah.
And then the girl comes in the room. Oh, that was a funny episode. Eh? But yeah, you don't want any shrinkage involved, right? So, definitely have to make sure you do it in the summer.
And the thing with your actor too, you might want to get him to say that yes, he's definitely going to take his mask off in public.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
for-
that's a no.
Yeah,
That-
you want to keep this. That's why you have a mask on, as a secret identity. And I remember that first guy I got. We were at a convention, and his nose was running or something. I can understand taking it off because his nose was running, but he was walking around for half an hour with his mask off. And I said, if you want to take off your mask, go into the washroom, change, come out with your regular clothes or whatever, And but he walked around for half an hour, 45 minutes with his mask off. And I said, well, I'm not paying you for having your mask off. So I ended up getting a cousin of mine who was a bodybuilder, but he was pretty short. I think he was 5'5" or something. And he took off his mask inside the washroom. And the kids loved him. The kids were checking out his muscles and everything, going, that's not muscles, that's rock,
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. You can't you can't let people, because he's a character, and you want because especially at a big comic convention or something like that, where he's supposed to have a secret identity and all that. That's probably one of the worst things you can do, is have the guy who's playing the character take his mask off. I remember seeing an episode of that old show, Quantum Leap, and these guys were a rock band in the '70s, and they wore that, heavy duty glitter rock makeup. And the manager came up to the new guy in the rock band, the guy who was playing the main character of the show, because he appeared back in the '70s, and he had all the rock band's makeup on. And the guy said, "We don't take off our makeup till we get back to the hotel room."
Yeah. Well, look at Kiss. They never took off their makeup when they first started. He probably snuck off out of the back or something, so people wouldn't know what they look like.
Oh, it was like anonymous rock stars. Nobody until I think they took off the makeup in the early '80s, '82 or '83, for the Lick It Up album. Nobody knew what they looked like, and that was half of the hype back then. Without that, I think they would have got on a lot of the front of the magazines, where all the people, the teenagers, the kids, and everybody who followed them back then. That was the hype, Like, nobody knew what they were putting out albums, but nobody knew what they looked like. It's the same as a superhero secret identity. I know that recently I've gotten little squabbles online with some of these people who, because of a lot of these Marvel movies now, they got people running around with masks. I'm like, yeah, but there's no real hype, man. Where's there's no secret identity. I just don't understand what the whole hype would be over. And they say, well, it's an alternate universe. I said, well, in this alternate universe, does everyone wear no masks? And they said, well, yeah, but and there's, no matter what you say, it doesn't matter, because you don't know anything what you're talking about. And I don't argue with anybody anymore. I can't be bothered, because they got their way of thinking, and
you can't convince them otherwise.
Yeah, you're not. It's like someone like Aerosmith, and you like the Rolling Stones, and you're saying, no, Aerosmith, no, the Rolling Stones, right? And you're never going to convince them that Aerosmith or the Rolling Stones is better than whatever band you like. So you're almost better just to keep your mouth shut. Say, okay, well, next. Because if people got their way of thinking, but like you were saying, definitely make sure that the actor who's hired as the lead patroller. Um, Make sure he doesn't take his mask off at the wherever you are, whether it's a get together somewhere or some kind of big public display or a comic convention or anywhere you go where you hire him for the job. He's got to keep his mask on, and if he does have to, go to the washroom or something like that, go behind the shower stall and you take some Kleenex in there with you, or you could always tell them just whatever you do. One or two people in the washroom see it, ain't no big deal, but just make sure before you get out there, that 99.9% of the people at the convention don't see you, because no matter what you do, one or two people might see you, and you don't have that much control. But
Yeah.
well,
it's like
it comes out to convention, you got to dock him. He said dock him for the whole while he didn't have the mask on.
Well, like my cousin, we went to one in Toronto, a convention, and he went to the washroom to change or something, and some kid walked in when he was taking off his mask, and he seen him on the floor, and he says, "I know who he is," or something like that. No, my cousin says to him, he says, "Shh, it's a secret. Don't tell anybody what I look like." But the kid was going, yeah, I think he was winking at him or someone. He seen him on the floor in his mask. He knew who he was, but he wasn't going to tell anybody.
Also, it was, that's one thing about it. The kid sees you, you could always say, it's secret between you and me. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Well, make it say, well, it's a secret between us, and you're the only one that knows what I look like as a superhero.
Yeah.
You gotta be you're my secret sidekick or something. So my secret.
Yeah, I'll make you my sidekick. People don't tell nobody what I look like.
Yeah. So, but
So I guess you got some good suggestions there of about exposure and everything with the different outlets, the papers, the national papers, and the Toronto Star, and making Hispanic costume for the different comic conventions and different events to popularize and give the characters some more exposure, like we're both talking about with the Captain Canuck. That time I seen him with like the mayor of Toronto and and those little kids at some school or something like that. But yeah, definitely some good ideas there. Something that definitely under for the future, right?
Well, you want to grow your character, right? And you want to continue doing it, right? So you need to do this stuff. You need to expand your horizon.
Expand my horizon. I like that.
Yeah. And make just get out and get that book out. Get more readerships. You're going to have to be more active on social media, Twitter, maybe even YouTube, and get it out. Maybe the next.
A member of Twitter currently, but I know that even the politicians now are tweeting tweets on Twitter. Everybody's. I remember before a couple of years back, maybe 8 years ago or 7 years ago, whenever Obama was in power. And that was the first time I seen like a president or somebody online. Before that was nobody did that. But now everybody's, even politicians are all police chiefs, politicians. Everybody's on Twitter now, and if you saw, I remember seeing Bill Clinton on a TV show playing the saxophone. And that was unheard of at that time. But now everybody's online on Twitter, and there's Instagram and all those types of social media platforms. So definitely something to consider for the Leaf Controller future, and all the other stuff we discussed. Make sure whoever's working for you, they're trustworthy, right? The story you told me about the guy who unscrupulous character who was definitely whoever I work with in the future, and make sure they're on the up and up, and stuff like this. You don't want to work with any unscrupulous evil character supervillain.
Yeah. So hopefully that give you some ideas. I'm glad you come and chat with me. Ron, I'm going to call this quits this broadcast. But if you want to say anything about your character, where to find him and stuff like that, I'll let you have the last word here.
Oh, okay. We'll just go to Facebook and jot down Leaf Controller, or go to Facebook and jot, Ron Asher. It's connected to the Leaf Controller character. Super, Ron Asher. There's only one Ron, as far as I know. So super easy to find. There's only one Leaf Controller. Super easy to find on Facebook, and you'll at least get some type of. You'll get to look at the character in a few different pages out of both books, and take it from there.
Well, thank you, Ron.
Thanks for the interview and everything. And interesting and illuminating.
Okay. That's
That
great. If you got anything to ask me on Facebook, just message me there, Ron. If you want, I can help you out with some stuff.
Some more constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's been a fun talk. I had a great time. So I guess we'll see you later.
All right, I'm gonna end that broadcast. I'll just talk to you for a bit offline, okay?
Okay, sure. I go to my private message, I guess.
We're still here.